God, you just lost 30 seconds.
I'm kidding. We're doing stuff.
Well, I can cut the good afternoon then. Good afternoon. Nobody owns the patent on insight and wisdom. Nobody. Recognition of that simple truth is the cornerstone of our system of government and the only chance we have of getting it right. I know many very knowledgeable people. Most of those are opinionated, and some even visionary, that are immersed in charting a course toward a golden age for Pinal County. And I'm blessed to know some of those people. But for the first time in a long time, there are concrete trucks on the roads. And that is the only kind of economic insight that resonates with Pinel's real people looking to put gas in their car and pay for their children's dance lessons. The people that don't know elected officials by name, but they do know that there are weeds in their neighbor's yard because he's sick, and they go pull him out because he's their neighbor. I'm honored to also know such as these. There is work, real work, that needs to be done now. Pinal County has a very good comprehensive plan, but the supporting ordinances need to be in place to implement it effectively. Now, not 7 months from now, is the time for real work on getting that right. Months of careful thought and research are needed, as there is more to it than yay or nay. But now is also an election season, and that mixture worries me. Whoever is appointed to this interim position should be able to both help Pinal County government to keep getting its real work done and stay well out of the road of the election process. Why appoint me? Longevity and disposition, mostly. I've been actively involved in an evolving Pinal County for 15 years. I've learned some things that only experience teaches. I've learned to honestly appreciate other opinions on issues, as over the years I found that things look much different to long-timers on the front lines than they do to fiery newcomers like I once was, when I still knew everything and was never wrong about anything. And those that haven't yet had time to learn the difference between kibitzing and real involvement, we need to reach out to those folks. I count as friends and resources many very involved people who sometimes agree with me, and sometimes they don't. We've grown to appreciate that we know a great deal more combined than we do divided. Over time, I've come to recognize that none of us owns a patent on insight and wisdom. None of us will ever win outright, nor should we. What I have learned is that it's not about winning epic battles. It's about good people working every day at honestly and clearly representing their principles and perspectives while being accessible to all and genuinely respecting other views as both an enrichment and a check on unintended arrogance. I don't fear ideas or opposition because I've learned to love the process, all the people, all of them, who care enough to weigh in, and the quest for getting it right. I'm not too terribly fond of weeds, though. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Let me ask you one brief question. If there are questions from board members, we will ask immediately after your presentation. I know that you serve on Planning and Zoning Commission. How many years have you been on P&Z?
I was appointed in 2009, and prior to that, from 1999 till I was appointed to that position, I served on the Citizen Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any additional questions, comments? Supervisor Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brown, good to see you. One of the concerns that has just generally been expressed is a concern to see if there are conflicts of interest in any candidate. So I ask you, are you aware of any potential conflicts of interest that would come into play as a supervisor?
No. To put it one way, I talked to my financial consultant, asking him what I should buy so I didn't outlive my income. He suggested bacon.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Assistant Clerk?
Next we have Tricia Castillo. Good afternoon. My name is Tisha Castillo, and I wish to be appointed as the Interim Pinal County District 2 Supervisor. I relocated my family and my business to Pinal County in 2006. Over the last 6 years, I chose to not only educate myself on the issues of our area, but I have committed my time, energy, and resources to address those issues, provide solutions, and implement change in order to move our area forward. I believe that our area deserves an individual who is able to see all sides of any situation. I also believe that we need someone who will not just call out problems, but who has the skill set and experience to provide viable options and solutions with the ability to see them through. Since the beginning, I have been put in a place to represent our area. Originally, I was recruited as a board member of the Santan Area Chamber of Commerce, and today I sit as the current president and CEO of the same organization now known as the Santan Valley Chamber of Commerce. I was instrumental in bringing the Pinal County Comprehensive Plan work sessions into the northern unincorporated area to be sure that the residents in our area had their voices heard. Working side by side with other individuals, our residents were able to be included in planning our part in Pinal County's future. I assisted with implementing the Business Block Watch alongside PCSO and our community and became an active member in my community Block Watch. I was later appointed to become the Block Watch Community Coordinator, the largest housing community in our area, Johnson Ranch, and I still hold that position today. In addition, I worked tirelessly to bring the Citizens on Patrol program that was running successfully in Gold Canyon out into what is now known as the Santan Valley, and worked alongside other Block Watch coordinators to create the Greater Santan Area Community Block Watch Association, which was a way to mentor and educate other communities on how to start their own watches. In addition to spending the last 6 years at the Chamber of Commerce, here is a short list of other organizations that I have proudly represented. I was one of the founding core members of the Greater Santan Area Coalition, an organization that was created to bring our area together with one voice so that this community could become proactive with its future. As the largest area in Pinal County, both in size and population, an organization was necessary to start this process. I also assisted in bringing the first Business Leads Group organization into the Greater Santan area to help provide additional resources and training to our business community. I worked with Central Arizona College to create a presence for our community, which is now accessible at the Santan Center. I was co-chair for Tech for Kids Committee in 2008 that pushed to get the override passed to allow Florence Unified to bring tech into our schools. As a result, the first high school in 94 years to be built in the Florence Unified School District was a 100% tech school, the first in the state of Arizona, and it was built in our area. I founded the first Special Olympics group in the Santan area, known as the Santan Bumblebees. I put on the first fundraiser for our area's newest high school, Post and Butte, where with the community's support, we were able to donate over $11,000 in cash and gift cards the athletic and arts department at the school. In 2010, I created a community portal called santanvalley.com, which was a free resource for anyone interested in learning more about Santan Valley. It included news, school information, events, classifieds, businesses. This was the first step in giving our area an unbiased, easily accessible venue to learn about our area and our county. I created many partnerships in and around the county so that our area could be notified and kept in the loop with what was happening. An example of this with the Pinal County Animal Care and Control Center, which now notifies our area of new pets each week available for adoption. Through the Santan Valley Chamber of Commerce, we created the first ever Santan Valley area map that distributed over 10,000 copies to visitors and residents in our area. I was a founding member of the Santan Valley Substance Abuse Coalition, whose mission is to provide recovery, education, and prevention resources to those affected by substance abuse and mental health disorders. And most recently, I helped to bring the first Relay for Life into Santan Valley this past month and helped to raise over $20,000 for the cause. As I stepped into the role as President and CEO of the Santan Valley Chamber of Commerce in 2010, my main goal has been to not only assist our local business community, but to work with others in and out of Santan Valley to know that we as a community exist. I've worked with residents from Superior to Coolidge and everywhere in between. I've represented this area at every opportunity and over the years have gained a reputation as a leader in this area. I am often invited to attend meetings as a representative both of the business and residential community, and I accept those invitations with honor. Whether I'm sitting at a CAG meeting at the state capitol, a meeting with county officials, or with businesses or residents, my passion and my focus have been and will continue to be for this area. In my opinion, I feel as if I have been doing the work of this position for the last 6 years. I've not done it because it was my job or because I was paid to do it. I did it because I believe in this area and what our future can become. This area needs a voice that's unbiased and will truly represent it. This area needs someone who can see the big picture without ignoring or forgetting about the individual pieces. My focus will continue to be to improve the quality of life for the amazing residents that we have in this district, and it's because of this that I will ask again for you to appoint me, Tisha Castillo, to be the Interim Pinal County District 2 Supervisor.
Questions, board members or clerk of the board? Supervisor Schneider, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Castillo. For the sake of consistency, it is an issue that I will ask each applicant. I would like to know if you think you have any conflicts of interest that we should know about. And I know that you're currently employed by the Santan Chamber of Commerce. Is that correct?
No, actually, I'm a volunteer.
You're a volunteer. So, is there employment?
I actually have a small business that I own with my husband. Yes.
Okay. Do you see any conflicts that we might want to note?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk of the board, any questions? Ms. Castillo, let me say that as I look through your resume, you have a lot of letters of support from a lot of small businesses in Santan Valley, former sheriff from Florence Hospital. It seems like you have a lot of people that are wanting to support your candidacy for this particular appointment. On the other hand, we've received, at least I have received, some concerns in respect to party affiliation. And I know that that's going to come up when we do call to the public. Do you want to address that at this point, or do you just want to leave it alone, just giving you an opportunity to decide what you want to do?
I'm fine to address it now. I would say that I actually just written a story about this very issue this past weekend. When I was old enough to be able to vote, I went and I registered, and I spent the last, I won't say how old I am, number of years being a private citizen and doing what I do in the private sector. For the last year, I have considered whether or not I would want to step into an elected position and walk into politics. During the last year of trying to figure out how would I be able to best associate myself with which party, what values do I actually stand by. I'm a pro-business individual who is completely passionate about Pinal County and Santan Valley, and I felt it was in my best interest as well as the community's best interest for me to become a registered Republican and represent that party and the community at large.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you very much. Assistant Clerk.
We have Julian J. Cates.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Julian Cates. My friends and family know me by my nickname of Jay. I'm a natural-born citizen of the United States, a military retiree, and a Vietnam vet. I also retired after almost 20 years at NASA's White Sands Test Facility in New Mexico. My wife and I resided in Santan Valley since September of last year. I'm pretty busy getting settled in and getting the swimming pool finished, so I haven't really had time to get too involved in local activities. But we always have wherever we live. I served several years as a labor representative on the New Mexico State Workforce Development Board, and also as the member of the Governor's School to Work Advisory Council in New Mexico under Governor Gary Johnson. I am a registered Republican. I have been since I was old enough to vote. I am not affiliated with any business or company in Arizona. I have no conflict of interest. I have no relatives in any governmental position. I would like to note that in the Board of Supervisors mission statement, there's included an intent to provide assistance to the county constituents to access benefits that are provided by county government. I would like to mention that there are several individual groups among those constituents that I feel deserve special attention and maybe a little extra consideration. One of those groups is some of the most vulnerable members of our society, the children, who too often are abused and neglected by those who have the responsibility for their care and their safety. I'm very concerned about that. Another group that I feel deserves some special assistance is our veterans who have served our country well and now quite often at great personal sacrifice. And now they're returning to the world, as they say, to face an unemployment rate of some 3 to 4 times that of the national average. They need help. Anything that we can do to assist those members of our society, we should be doing. I know that some 70% of today's youth in America are not qualified to serve in the military. And 97% of those who do qualify choose not to serve. So we're left with less than 1% of our population who are going to serve us in the military. That's how special these people are. Excuse me. Another group that I have special feelings for is our elderly. These are the people who have worked many years to provide for their families and to build our great nation. These are the people who worked hard all their lives, long before IRA and 401k became a part of our vocabulary. And they trusted Social Security and Medicare to see them through their golden years. These also are a group of people that need some special assistance and special consideration. That's really all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, board members? Supervisor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed.
First of all, Mr. Cates, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You have quite a resume here, and you've obviously answered my stock question, if you will. But I took notes. So my question for you is, having heard you and having looked at your resume, why are you standing for this appointment?
I'm saying at this point to try to serve the community that I live in. I have done this for years, usually in an unelected, unpaid position. So I enjoy it. I feel good about serving those who need service, those who need help. That's just a part of my lifestyle.
Thank you, sir.
Clerk of the board, any questions? Okay. Thank you. We appreciate you offering up your service to the county and good presentation.
Thank you very much.
John Fulton.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. My name is John Fulton, and I'd like to be considered for a position on the Board of Supervisors. I'd like to briefly go through my resume. Obviously, you have it there. First of all, in a position like this with dealing with budgets and the large opportunity to interpret funds and handle funds in the way they do, I feel that my experience is well qualified for that. Obviously, I have a bachelor's degree in finance and an MBA from Arizona State University. I've worked with large budgets, multi-million-dollar budgets, and I feel that does help me. That'll help me get off the ground very quickly and get to the work of serving the county. Now, along with my experience, you'll see that I was a product manager at one point, and I have specific experience in the marketing. I look at Pinal County as one of the most important products in our life. It's the place where we work, it's the place where we live, and making sure that this product is something that our community wants and deserves is extremely important. That's where I feel that I can bring quite a bit to the community in that I can help understand what they want, what businesses, what individuals are looking for, and how can we serve them best. Personally, I've been registered as a Republican my entire life since I was able to vote. I am not seeking a political position through election. I'm not affiliated with any Republicans. There's probably nobody in this room who even knows who I am. This is my first opportunity at being present at any particular political event. I've always been interested in politics and have participated solely through my wife and my 3.5 kids. We've lived in this area for about 10 years. My kids go to Pinal County schools. I lived in the Johnson Ranch area before there was a Circle K or Fry's or anything else, and I've seen this county grow so much, and I see the opportunity that we have to become a major player in Arizona to diversify our economy, bring new businesses to the area, and to create a place that not only can we live, but we can work. And I see so many of my friends and the local residents who commute into other counties to work there, and I feel that we can do such a better job of making sure that more businesses come to the county. They participate here, they create jobs here, and that our residents can not only live here but work here. I too agree that there's no corner on good ideas. You know, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, the best ideas are the ones that are going to serve Pinal County the most. And I see that as an opportunity for myself, for the existing board to work together to find the best opportunities for this county, again, for our residents, for our businesses. And again, I thank you for this opportunity, and I appreciate your opportunity to serve on the board. Thank you.
Questions? Clerk, board member?
Point. Mr. Chairman, do you have a question?
Supervisor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fulton, thank you for the presentation. Very impressive resume. I see by that resume that there are 2 elements of employment on your resume. Both are through the present, so I assume that you were currently employed by them. Contrary, perhaps, to community wisdom, this is a full-time job. Really, it's, in fact, one would argue that it's a 24/7, 365 responsibility. How are you proposing to deal with your employment with these 2 companies?
First of all, my current employment, which is the Eastman Music Company, I am I cover a territory. I'm in many ways I serve sort of like an independent with that company. I manage a particular product line and people within that, but I work from home. I travel some, but generally speaking, I have the time necessary to do this position, and I looked into that before I chose to run for this position. So the time and the opportunity are obviously there.
Do you see any potential for conflict of interest?
Not at all.
It's true that we don't usually deal in stringed instruments, so I presume that's correctly probably true. However, thank you for your answer, sir.
Clerk, any questions?
No questions. Supervisor Snyder asked a question I was going to ask about your full-time job because it's to a full-time job.
Sure.
Very impressive resume. Thank you for applying.
We have Gary Rob Gardner.
Hello, supervisors. My name is Rob Gardner. I'm the 2nd generation Valley native. My father was born and raised in the Valley. I was born and raised in the Valley. About 7 years ago, I took my family out. We looked at the Santan Valley area, absolutely fell in love with it, bought a house, moved out here, and we've been out here ever since. I changed employers from working with the city of Phoenix and city of Glendale to working for the city of Apache Junction, so that I could be closer to home, be able to spend more time with my family. I am a husband, have 4 young children. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in business, so even though I have 17 years public service experience, like I said, with the city of Phoenix, city of Glendale, and currently with the city of Apache Junction, I also have the knowledge and experience of working in the private sector and working with businesses and small businesses, because in that time I was also a licensed real estate agent in the state. So my entire life I've worked and trying to help serve people. So whether it's my professional life, private life, through church, through friends, through community associations, I've done all I can to serve people, and I desire to continue to do that. Working in the public sector for the number of years that I have the understanding of governmental budgets, restrictions that governments have within budgeting and fiscal management, as well as procurement practices. And in those 17 years of public service, I have stayed within budget, if not under budget, every year. I'm a big believer, and regardless of what political party somebody is a member of, that it's the ideas that prevail, and that we all should work together as a team for the betterment of the county and of the residents within the county, and also those that might come and visit the county, because those are potential county residents. Some of the issues that I see that I would like to help out with if I was appointed to the board would be the Santan Valley and Apache Junction area, because this district not only serves Santan Valley, but serves Apache Junction, Gold Canyon area as well, at least until the 5 districts come about. Is I would like the police and the deputies to be more proactive in working educationally with communities and with community leaders, and helping to reduce vandalism, graffiti, vehicle break-ins, youth curfew, different animal nuisance calls that they get. I'm a firm believer in proactive approach goes a lot farther than reactive approach. Also, a lot of the lighting on some of the county roads and some of the neighborhoods, working with the HOAs to get better, more secure lighting, also helps to reduce a lot of the criminal behavior and vandalism activity. I'd also like to work with various nonprofit organizations like Paladin Youth Sports, Little League, American Legion, Boys and Girl Scouts, various HOAs, to provide more recreational, wholesome family opportunities to families and to the public. Again, proactive approach. I also like to work with Williams Gateway Airport to attract visitors to the county, and for there to also be a reason for people to come and visit the county. We've got good airfares, no reason that people wouldn't want to come and visit our county. Also like to attract businesses, so the residents don't have to drive into other counties and other communities for work, for shopping. They can stay here within the communities and be able to have more time at home with their families, be able to volunteer more, keep their tax dollars within the communities. And also that would cut down on pollution, again, keep the tax revenue in Pinal County. That's what I have.
Thank you. Questions?
I will defer to the clerk of the board.
Board.
No question. Supervisor Snyder?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gardner, a very impressive presentation, and I'm appreciative of your career of service to the public and as a staff member in various incorporated cities and towns. Your letter of application does indicate that you're currently employed by the City of Apache Junction's Parks and Rec Department.
Yes, and I've spoke with our HR department. I've understood going into this that this is a full-time position. I understand about full-time, 24/7, being on call all the time. And I would resign from that position if I was selected to the board. I would also like to volunteer back into helping get the new person, whoever is hired on, up and running as smooth as possible as time permitted.
Okay. As a follow-up to that, what one single reason would you say propelled you to stand up and say, I want to be appointed?
I've always been interested in the political realm, the bouncing ideas, legislation off of each other, working together as a team to meet an accomplished goal. With the resignation of Supervisor Martin, I felt that it was time for me to step in and put my ability to serve people into another realm category.
Thank you, sir.
I don't have any questions, but thank you for applying. Appreciate it.
Dennis Manning.
Chairman Rios.
How you doing?
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Supervisor Snyder. Madam Clerk. My name's Dennis Manning, and I'm submitting my name and application for the vacancy of the Board of Supervisors of Pinal County, State of Arizona. We're not here today to discuss future and vision for the state and the county. We all agree upon that. All your applicants have the same vision: more jobs, better roads, more schools, more infrastructure, more commerce. We agree upon that. The question before the board today is, who is best qualified to assume this position of decision-making? Who is best to assume this mantle of responsibility? I'm here to deliver my qualifications. I'm a retired Major, U.S. Marine Corps. I'm a retired airline pilot. I had the opportunity to fly for 2 different airlines. When I got off active duty with the Marine Corps, I was able to fly for Chicago Helicopter Airways. We wrote the book on how to operate helicopters in urban areas. My last 25 years flying experience was with Trans World Airlines, TWA, magnificent flag-carrying carrier around the world. I was fortunate enough to be able to fly some magnificent airplanes. I started out flying the piston-driven Connies, Lockheed Constellations. I was able to move up to the Condor 880, Boeing 727, Boeing 767, and I was able to retire as a L-1011 captain, finest airplane ever manufactured. I logged over 29,000 hours of flight time during my aviation career. You can bet the farm that somewhere along those years in the air, I had to make some decisions. They were the right ones. Get to the position that I occupied that I think might set me apart from the remainder of these applicants. It's my 5 years of service on the governing board of the state of Arizona. I served 5 years as an Arizona Game and Fish Commissioner. I am the retired chairman of the Arizona Game and Fish Commission. Analyzing those 2 organizations, the Board of Supervisors and the Arizona Game and Fish Department, the similarities are amazing. The oversight committee of both departments are similar. We have hundreds of employees. You formulate large operating budgets. The Arizona Game and Fish Commission receives an additional $10 million a year from the Heritage Funds, which is the Arizona Lottery. Over my 5-year tenure, we appropriated $50 million approximately towards land acquisition, water rights, and habitat improvement throughout the state for wildlife. Those are decision-making positions. The similarity between the two departments is also very interesting. We have a large presence in law enforcement, obviously. We have educational departments. We have animal control departments. Now that you have a helicopter, we have aviation departments. Another function of the Game and Fish Commission was assessing civil penalties for those violators that broke Arizona game and fish laws. We assessed the license revocations. We assessed the financial penalties that could be up into tens of thousands of dollars for trophy quality animals. And we made mandatory requirements for hunter safety course attendance. I think there's some decision-making been done in my past career. I'd like to tell you why I'm here to accept this position. It's payback. I owe Arizona. Arizona's been fantastic for the Manning family. We moved to Arizona 40 years ago. We lived carefree. We raised our kids in Carefree. The children went through the elementary district, Cave Creek School District. My wife was president of the school board up there. We went down to Brophy and Xavier, and they went down to Tucson, to the magnificent U of A. Great school. My oldest son met his future bride, who's now a doctor of pharmacy in Mesa. He went through law school. He's now prosecuting attorney for Maricopa County in Phoenix. My daughter went through undergraduate and med school down at U of A. She's now a practicing physician. She's a radiologist up in Seattle. She's married to a physician, a doctor, a reconstructive plastic surgeon. He graduated from Harvard, but we won't hold that against him. My youngest son also has an advanced degree out of U of A. I owe Arizona. I owe Arizona to participate in public service. And that's why my name is before you today. Can I have 30 seconds more?
Take that 15 seconds. Go.
I want to thank the people that have put me in this position to appear before you. I want to thank the screening committee of the Pinal County Republican Committee. They forwarded my name as the strongest candidate for this position. I'd like to thank two mayors, Mayor Tom Rankin, elect of Florence, and the Honorable Tom Shoup of Coolidge. Perhaps you may have heard from some prominent business leaders that have also forwarded their recommendation. With that, gentlemen, thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Questions? Board members report? Okay. Supervisor Snyder, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To be consistent, I seem to be the designated lead off. First of all, again, thank you for your service. I've had the rare pleasure of actually flying out of Connie and AR, which, as you described.
There aren't too many people old enough to do that. Thank you.
I've given it away. My question to you, sir, is despite your record of service for the state of Arizona on the Game and Fish Commission, etc., are there any conflicts of interest, either financial or in terms of time?
Absolutely not.
Okay, and your family is prepared to have you once again disappear into the fog of government?
Yes, the wind under my wings. Yes, my bride, my wife. She had we have bird dogs, and of course, associating with animals and bird dogs, there's a lot of scooping involved. she has to assume that responsibility when I leave. She did it after 5 years I was on the commission.
Thank you for that information.
You asked.
I did. Thank you for your presentation.
A couple of questions. You know, we have a lot of hunters in this area, deer and wild pig, etc., and a lot of them very upset at Game and Fish because they don't get drawn regularly enough. If you were to be selected, are we going to be in danger up here because some of these guys are not kidding?
No. But I can take great pride in one of my accomplishments as a Game and Fish Commissioner, and that was instituting the policy of allocating 5% of the permits for youth hunts. We were losing the hunting heritage in North America. You got to get these kids away from their TV sets and their computers. I instituted that policy, and it's still in effect today, and I'm very proud of that.
No, and that was a good policy change. I remember discussing that and debating that in the legislature as well. You forgot in our airplane fleet, we also have a Piper Cub airplane.
I didn't know that.
A little toy, yeah. Do we include that one or should we get rid of it?
Oh no, keep it. That's fun to play with. You might invite me out and take a ride. Yeah, we can go for a ride.
No, it's not mine, it's the sheriff's. You got to ask him.
But I might add that Game and Fish has a very nice fleet of airplanes, and most of them are drug confiscated aircraft.
You know, so I'm a Navy, but we're not there.
On a serious
You're on the way with a helicopter.
On a serious note, Mr. Manning, the appointment is approximately 7 months.
Right.
And you noticed I never and won't say that whoever gets a cat run for election to the office, because state law does not include that requirement. State law basically says you need to be of the same party, you need to be a resident of that district. It's silent in respect to whether somebody runs or not. So that is not an issue that even if we were concerned about that is not something that we can enforce. But you'll have a stint of about 7 months, and then beyond that, that's a decision you make. What do you see your role being in the next 7 months?
I see my role as the caretaker for that seat for the next elected supervisor. I know the budget's set. I don't know of any major issues on the radar scope at this time, although attending the meeting this morning, I see where the District 2 access issue is a hot potato that has been ongoing and will continue through August at least. Access has been an issue throughout the entire state, and that was one of our major issues on the commission. We face access issues all the time. And if you research my history, you'll find that I'm a champion of public access to publicly owned lands as long as it adheres to the letter of the law. I have a deep respect for private landowners. I don't want to infringe on their rights, but I want the right of our public to have access to public lands.
So basically you're saying you see your role as a caretaker for whoever then assumes the position after the November elections.
Whoever wins. I am not running for any political office, I can assure you of that.
Thank you.
That's a farm on that one.
I don't know about that. This is a political position.
Thank you for your presentation. If there's no more questions, appreciate offering up your service.
Thank you, sir.
Paul Messenger.
Good afternoon. You do? My name is Paul Messenger. I live in the Santan Valley, Johnson Ranch area, and I'm here as an applicant. As a former secretary of the Pinal County Republican Committee, I was asked to step forward, step to the plate, you might say, to fill a District 2 vacancy. And I hesitated for a minute because I enjoy playing golf, and I realized this would impinge upon that to some extent. However, I'm a person who believes in service. I served my country 20 years in the Navy. I served my community hospital that I used to work at, and I would do the service here. So I consider it an honor, a privilege, and indeed a duty, but a duty akin to jury duty where you serve and then go home. I do not intend to run for additional office. As to my qualifications, my 20-plus years service in the United States Navy in the field of communications and intelligence honed and helped develop my leadership skills and gave me a unique attention to detail quality. My time in the Navy also afforded me the opportunity to complete my college education. I received 2 degrees, Bachelor's of Arts in Management and Bachelor's of Arts in Marketing. Following my service to the Navy, I worked for a Catholic community hospital for 25 years as a pharmacy purchasing agent. I worked directly for the director of pharmacy. I was involved with vendors, with signing contracts, with inventory control, with budgets, with a thing called formulary, which is really an interesting concept. I also interfaced with department heads, physicians, executive staff, and that helped me to develop people skills. A real manager has only 2 things to manage: assets and human resources. And believe me, the human resources are the most challenging. How do I perceive the position of supervisor? That's probably a question that would come up. First and foremost, I see the supervisor as a public servant representing the area that they are, in this case, District 2, but also the entire county. You're not just the supervisor for one particular district. You represent the entire county. Next, the supervisor must work with the county manager, the department heads, staff, and help them in their fields of responsibility so that they excel and the county gets a better image. And also represent the county at state and national events when necessary in a professional manner. What are the major areas of concern for Pinal County? Well, naturally, these are hard economic times. The budget is always number 1. We need to get a balanced budget, need to get a balanced budget and keep a balanced budget. And this is where the supervisors have to be the magicians to do this. It's not always easy. But it's the foundation for the economic recovery. And we need to serve all our sectors here, both our agriculture sector and our business sectors, by attracting business and infrastructure, the entire program. Pinal County also is, in my travels around the state, Pinal County has had a bad image because of scandals and things we read in the paper every day. I would like to help change that image to, I live here, I want to have a positive image. I want to be a magnet for companies that want to come here. The process, there's been a lot of talk in the Republican community about, will the board do the right thing? I think they will. Our chairman stressed a couple items which we touched on earlier about fairness. They wanted to select a Republican who's concerned about his area. One who's sort of active, not just a Republican off the rolls. They would like to have no current candidate be a selectee because they figure it's unfair. Currently, we have, I believe it's 4 candidates in District 2 and a couple in the new District 5. So, but that's not my say, that's just a suggestion that would be unfair if somebody was selected. And that the selectee would only fulfill a remaining term. And I would do that, only fill a remaining term and then hit the road, Jack. And that's about it, and I want to thank you for your time. Any questions?
Questions, clerk, board member? Supervisor Snyder?
I love being consistent. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Mr. Messenger, first of all, again, thank you for your service. 20 years in the Navy is a good bit of yourself and a sacrifice for your family as well. As a former Michigander, I find it's a good place to be from, but that's why I'm here. I guess the question that I have for you, sir, is you began your presentation by recounting the fact that the county party had stepped forward and asked you to consider applying for the position, and they were prepared to recommend your name. What I'd like to ask you is, in all candor, would you have stood and volunteered had you not been asked?
I believe that would be yes. I've always had service on my mind. I'm active. I'm sort of a political junkie. And when I saw this, I talked to the wife, and she said, "Don't do that." And I said, "Well, it's my last hurrah, so I'm going to step forward, step to the plate." You ask about conflict of interest. I am also president of the Santan Republican Club. I don't know how that fits in, but I would be willing to resign that position to accept the county position. So.
Thank you for your answer, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the next person is Jill Moritz that has withdrawn, but just in case you're out there? No.
Neil Robert Ross.
Came to Arizona in 2000, and before that I lived in New Jersey, and don't hold that against me. In the early 70s I started a mechanical contracting company with 2 of us in 1 truck, and for about 5 years I had 25 men and 16 trucks. I've learned a lot of things that way. I learned, first of all, how to run guys. I learned that you have to manage to control instead of control to manage. I also learned that the profit has to be a little bit higher than the overhead to survive. And I've owned my companies through 3 recessions and learned how to budget and learned how to stay in that budget even in slim times. Also in 1979, I also got my promoter's license for professional boxing. I promoted many world titles, fights. I had to work with HBO, Showtime. I worked with casinos. I worked with marketing people, and also with the fighters. I also had the job of a promoter, is to finance the show and market the show. And at the end of the day, after I paid everybody, I had to have a profit left over. I work with marketing, ticket sales, which was also my responsibility. Came out here in 2000. I built my home. 2001, I started contracting business. And also in 2010, I became the precinct committee man, and I'm captain of my precinct up in 45. So I feel that I could be an asset since I can communicate. I know how to negotiate with people. I've always maintained a budget in business through bad times and good times. That's about it.
Okay, questions?
I'm fine.
Questions? Board? No? Supervisor? Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Rios. Mr. Ross, good afternoon. And I had no idea you were from New Jersey.
Forget about it.
Okay, now that we've done the stereotypes, and my apologies for having started down that road. A couple of questions. Again, in your letter of application, it seems to say that you do have at least 1, if not 2, obligations on a regular basis at present: the lighting busters, and then your course at the Multi-Gen Center in Apache Junction. Is that accurate? And if so, how do you plan to deal with that for the 7 months if you're appointed?
I have a partner in the Lightning Busters, so it wouldn't be any problem at all. I'm getting along in the tooth anyway, so I'm starting to phase myself out. Teaching at the Multi-Gen Center, I teach kickboxing and self-defense, and I do have fill-ins if I have to, and I already talked to somebody there that if I needed to, I can just call and have somebody fill in.
Thank you for that. Is there anything that you might think of that would construe a conflict of interest with regard to the Busters business?
No, not at all.
Okay. What one thing, if I may, is the last question. What one thing prompted you to step forward and say, pick me?
Well, I always had to do it, being in my own business, and I'm also a committee man, and I was also asked by the Republican Party to come here, but I became the captain of my precinct only because if there's a void to fill, I have to do it. So I figured the same thing, that I would keep that seat warm for the next person coming in, and whatever is needed to be done, I would do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next.
Clark Smithson.
Chairman Rios, Supervisor Snyder, Clerk of Board Club. I think I'm the fourth one so far. I haven't looked around to see if any more white-haired guys coming up here. But reminded of a poem that I've heard many times before, but heard just this last week. It's called The Bridge Builder. It's the story of an old man who had been traveling along. At the twilight, he came to a large chasm full of danger and challenges. When he got to the other side, he started building a bridge. Another traveler nearby said, "What on earth are you doing? You're an old man. You got through here. You're probably not going to come by here again. Why are you building this bridge?" He said, "Well, there's a young man coming down the road. And he's probably going to get here in the twilight. And he may have trouble, so I'm building the bridge for him." And that's what I consider myself to be, a bridge builder. When I was asked if I would be a member of the Pinal County Board of Supervisors, I thought, I've done that before. I've been through that chasm. I used to be a planning director. I've written 3 general plans for cities. They're working on the comprehensive plan. Maybe I can be of some help there. As I became increasingly aware of the future development needs of Pinal County and Apache Junction, opportunity came up to run for the city council. I thought, I've been across that chasm. I used to be sitting over there as a city manager, making recommendations to the elected officials. I think I could probably do that and maybe be some help. Help build some bridges there. When I was asked by various people to run for Board of Supervisors this coming November, I said, no, I don't think I want to do that one. I enjoy being on the city council. I enjoy what I'm doing here. But when this opportunity came up, the reason I'm before you is because I see the opportunity again to use some of my experience to build some bridges here. When I was a city manager and the city council said, "Clark, we have 3 major things we want you to do. We want you to rebuild the city street system. We want you to stop Daly City from building row houses along this mountain south of San Francisco. We want you to build a marina out in the middle of San Francisco Bay." So I said, sure, why not? As I look back now, I'm very pleased to announce that that mountain was not taken over by Daly City, but is now a regional park. There is now a marina in San Francisco Bay with multi-story buildings and a recreational and industrial and business complex. I was successful, along with my city engineer, in submitting an application. Got the largest grant in Northern California to completely rebuild the streets in the city of Apache Junction. As I look and listen this morning, as already mentioned, I think, oh, some of the jobs that would be here would be to handle access to the park, I've worked with, in those other things I've done, I've worked with local, county, regional, state, and federal agencies to accomplish some of those things. I've helped build that bridge. I've worked with private and public agencies. I work very closely with city chambers of commerce, with private businesses, to get a private businessman to build that marina and some of those other office complexes there. I see the opportunity to help Pinal County get ready for 5 supervisors, to put together the organization, all the things that are going to have to be done in order to do that. Santan, at some point, is going to be a city. I was the first assistant city manager, planning director of one newly incorporated city. I was the city manager of a newly incorporated city. I know what it's like to get ready for it and start up a new city. I look forward to that opportunity. I look forward to meeting with the people in Santan to help them evaluate what's the best way to go about that. I look forward to the opportunity of working with you. I hope that's in the cards here, and I look forward to being a part of building the bridges here. I will not run for supervisor. I have not, nor will I endorse anybody, for the same reason we've been talking about and been mentioned several times. I think that's up to the voters. I don't think that the supervisor, the interim supervisor, should play a role there. Thank you for your time. I'd be happy to answer your questions and any other questions that come up.
Mr. Svensson, you were on P&Z as well.
That's right.
And how long did you serve P&Z?
I believe it was 2 years.
Okay, and then you filled you ran for election.
Ran for election as a city council member in Apache Junction.
Okay, and that was a seat that was up, or was that to fill a vacancy, or?
It was to fill a seat that I think is, well, let me say, I hate recalls, but it was a recall, and it became very apparent that the incumbent was going to be defeated. And so I did take out papers for both the regular election and the recall. I had several people urge me to run to the recall, so I did, and won almost 50% of the votes.
Okay, I was just curious. You have a very impressive resume, as to a lot of other folks applying. So you all are making this job very difficult for us. But thank you for applying. Supervisor Schneider, questions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Rios. Mr. Smithson. First of all, at almost any age, but certainly in an age where the hair is disappearing and or getting white, to admit that you are a substitute teacher for grades 3 and up is pretty remarkable. My hat's off to you.
Thank you. When the kids come in, I'm taking a long-term sub job right now to teach Spanish for the rest of the year at the high school. And the kids come in, a few of them every lunch hour, to sit around and be with me and ask, what are you doing here? Aren't you retired? And now I know after, especially after reading that poem again, I'm going to tell them I'm a bridge builder. I like kids. I have 42, almost 44 grandchildren. And when kids ask me, how many kids do you have? I always tell them I have 2 daughters. Then after hesitation, I have 7 sons.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned Santan Valley specifically, and its brush with incorporation and so on and so forth. And because of the statement you made, I guess I have to ask you, what do you see the county's role with regard to any efforts to incorporate Santan Valley?
First, I think it's to meet with them, to see what they consider the major issues to be, not what I do, but what they think the major issues are, and to help them evaluate the finances, the organization, exactly what services they're going to lose from the county, what ones do they need to pick up as the city, because I supervise all of those. And also, as a council member in Apache Junction, how that can be done. I think that I don't know what role the county can play here. Perhaps somebody we know would have some contacts at the state legislature. I don't know if that's a former experience there. But we need to see how that can be done and cause as little damage to the other cities in the county as possible. Because it's going to happen eventually, so we need to plan for that and see how we can do that so there's as little pain as possible and so it happens as smoothly as possible.
Okay, it sounds like a somewhat activist role, though. Is that accurate?
I think it has to be. Same as with the access to through the mountain.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, and I do have a conflict, obviously, as you know, I would have to resign as city council member. I view this as would be a sabbatical. I would hope to run again next spring.
And you referred to that in your letter, so.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Let me ask you on that particular note, if you were the person that was selected to succeed Brian Martin, what is the time frame for you and Apache Junction City Council?
On Friday, I will have a letter at the city clerk's office saying that I resign effective immediately upon my being sworn in as county supervisor, unless you would make that effective next Wednesday, in which case I would resign at the city council meeting Tuesday night. Either one is acceptable.
Okay. One other follow-up question is in respect to incorporation, whether it's Santan or Oracle or Dudleyville or whatever, those types of incorporations have a tendency to be extremely controversial. And you usually have half the people that want to incorporate, the other half that doesn't. And then you have other incorporated political subdivisions by state law within 6 miles that have to consent to that incorporation, and we've seen that with the attempt in Santan Valley Johnson Ranch. But you said that we needed to try to find a happy medium where the incorporated cities or towns weren't damaged as much. What do you
more
see?
than necessary.
Do you have an idea as to how that would work or what that happy medium is?
I wish I did.
Oh.
However, I am a very creative problem solver.
Okay.
And I look
I'm
forward
always
to
looking
jumping
for
on that
answers.
one. I would spend considerable effort and time looking for solutions. If they're not there, then we deal with it the best way we can.
Okay. I thought you had a magic bullet.
Thank you. I will. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next.
I believe it's Felipe or Phil Solis.
That's me.
Very good.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
My name is Felipe Solis Jr. I am a Republican for quite a number of years. And yes, I'm a registered voter in Pinal County. What I bring to the board is my many years of experience in the private industry. I've been involved in solving all kinds of problems, ranging from finance, which is my expertise, budget, government contract negotiations, system installation, and the entire supply chain. I also got involved in teaching. Subjects I taught are cost accounting, income tax, taxation, mathematics, and computer science. I have a bachelor's in business administration degree, and I retired from the Boeing company up in Seattle, Washington. I cannot name all the qualifications and experience I have because they're all in my resume. All you have to do is go over them carefully and examine them very carefully. I'm not going to spend too much time. As you can see, I don't have a prepared speech because I'm not a politician. Everything comes out of my brain extemporaneous. But before I end, let me say just one thing. District 2 has some special concerns that needs to be addressed. And I believe with my background and experience, I can address more effectively those concerns. I'm now ready for your questions if you have.
Questions for Mr. Solis, clerk?
Supervisor Schneider, please.
Thank you, Mr. Rios. Mr. Solis? I'm intrigued with something that you finished with, and it was an apparent appraisal of the current situation, whatever that is, in Santan Valley and in District 2, specifically District 2. Would you, in a minute or two, kind of summarize what those biggest 2 or 3 things are? Because obviously it's important to you.
You got the answer there. I mean, you asked me that. Number one is the main concern of the District 2 is the slow response of the Sheriff's Department if they ever showed up. Number 2, the slow response of the Fire Department. I'm talking about rural metros. Number 3 is people across this Hunt Highway area are complaining about the mass traffic going in and out of the community. Something needs to be done. And number 4 is the unsafe condition of Hunt Highway, especially night driving. Something needs to be done.
Thank you for your very concise listing. I appreciate that. Your letter and your resume indicate that you're currently retired.
I retired from the Boeing Company up in Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
So you have my services 724.
Thank you for that. What is the one single thing, just in closing, one single thing that prompted you to step forward and say, I want to volunteer to do this?
I live in Queen Creek for a little over 6 years now. And Queen Creek has been left in the back burner. When I became supervisor, I would seek out my constituents, the voters. They won't seek me out. I will go to them. They will not come to me. I will go to them communities and find out what needs to be done and what the problem is. And I believe I am a much more effective manager.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Solis. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Presentation.
Carol Springer.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Snyder, Supervisor Rios.
Good afternoon.
Clerk of the Board Club, how are you? My name is Carol Springer. I'm from Prescott, Arizona. I went to high school in Prescott, went to Yavapai College. I'm a single mother of 4 children, including triplets. They are age 12, Trevor, and the triplets, Michael, Matthew, and Samantha, are age 10. For nearly 35 years, I've done my own radio and television programs in the Valley of the Sun. And I have dedicated the last 25 and 30 years of my career to my community. That is what my job was. I have helped hundreds, if not thousands, of small to large businesses succeed in their endeavors. This past February, I announced that I am indeed a candidate for Pinal County Supervisor in District 2. When I made that choice, it opened me up for, obviously, the public eye. When Brian Martin decided to resign, the board made their, if you will, their guidelines that any candidate may apply. There was not a stipulation that this position held for the interim would not be up for re-election come the end of the term. Therefore, I did the common sense thing as a candidate. I applied. It wasn't until afterward I was made privy that my chairman of my Republican Party had requested that candidates do not apply, as to somehow sway the election process come the primaries, come the final election in November. A couple of thoughts I had right off the top of my mind, common sense thoughts. Number one is I'm certainly applying for the position because I am seeking the position. Number two is to imply that an incumbent would have any more advantage than anybody else is an insult to me as a voter. An incumbent is not safe just because they are an incumbent. I gave it great thought today as to whether to withdraw my name. I will not do that today. Being in the public eye, which I have been for many, many years, you come under public scrutiny. I have had that happen to me in a letter that I'm sure Supervisor Snyder, Supervisor Rios, that was mailed to you. It was a letter written by Stephanie Lynn Keefe that managed to get printed in 2 publications. One was the Tri-Valley Dispatch, the other was SantanValley.com. SantanValley.com is owned by Tisha Castillo. I made numerous attempts at contacting Tisha Castillo to withdraw and retract this not only malicious but vicious letter, not only concerning me, but my children. She refused to do so. As late as yesterday afternoon, when she made a statement to a reporter from the Rose Law Group stating she had no knowledge of this letter, is an outright lie. What I can tell you is that she was served due process a letter of demand to retract that letter. No, I do not have the means to sue Ms. Castillo for her statements. I'm a single mother and I'm working. Perhaps that's a motivation that keeps people like this in taking advantage of our constitutional rights. I, just like anybody else, am just an average Joe that lives in this community. And I'm seeking the position for Pinal County Supervisor because I think I have a couple of things that isn't so common, and that's common sense. I go beyond partisan lines to make decisions that are in the best interest of my community, and will continue to do so without, for some means, perhaps changing my party line because of money backing. I have no money in this campaign, I assure you. When you see by public record my financial statements, you'll see that I'm doing this in less than $1,000. How I think I'm going to win this is I'm knocking on doors in my neighborhood of people that I live around. And I'm asking them what's on their mind. Because the county supervisor has a very, very important job. They have decisions concerning the mine. They have decisions concerning all kinds of important tasks on the planned growth in which Pinal County is going to take, now and in the future. I don't take the position lightly. And I think really when it comes down to the prerequisites of what this position holds, that's integrity. That's it. And I will do this job with integrity. Thank you.
I have one question, and you're correct in respect to whether somebody runs for election to the office after the appointment. As I mentioned earlier, that is something we have no control over. It's not something that's in state statute. So we couldn't make that a requirement either, and we didn't.
It would have been my absolute, I would have gone along with the fact that it is my belief, and I wish it would be, and perhaps a statute to look into to change in the Arizona revised statutes concerning this issue, which is certainly something I'm going to look into. That's no question. That somebody that does apply for this position, given the appointment being available, certainly should be of that Republican Party, Democratic Party, at least 6 months prior to that appointment becoming available, as well as that in an election year and that 2-year period afterward, that statute needs to also be rewritten, that that person shall not seek re-election.
But my question is along these lines. There are a lot of issues that confront Pinal County. There's issues that are unique to each one of the 3 districts. There will be issues that will be unique to the 5 districts after, the November election. But looking at the 3 districts, and specifically Supervisorial District 2, Supervisor Martin's district, when you prioritize the issues, what is the most important thing that surfaces to the top for you that you would want to address during the next 7 months? Is there one?
That's certainly up to the constituents on what the number 1 issue. I would say planned growth is going to be our most vital one. I agree. Sooner or later, this is going to grow into a city. We can't control it. As you know, the growth in this community has exploded. And we have to make sure that we deal with that in a responsible way, without any special interest without any bipartisan favorship. It's going to come down to these supervisors need to get along. They need to get along beyond those partisan lines. And I believe I can do that. I'm a communicator. Listen, radio is very similar to government in a lot of ways, believe it or not. If I don't answer correctly, I don't get ratings. If I don't get ratings, I get fired. I.e., if an elected official doesn't do a good job, they get voted out. I'm used to being in that arena. You have to perform in order to keep your job.
Yeah, and plan growth clearly is a priority, has been for Pinal County. That's part of the reason we have the Pinal County Comprehensive Plan. We're trying to use that as an instrument that kind of directs growth and development for both home builders and developers. So we're on our way there in terms of that issue. So, but you clearly identify that as an issue for Santan Valley. That is a big issue.
There's a lot of issues. Hunt Highway, we drive it all the time. There's plenty of them. There's plenty to keep the board busy in the coming years. That's for sure.
And I'm glad to hear you say that whoever serves on this board and whoever comes in next year, starting in January of 2013, the important thing is to work for the betterment of Pinal County as a whole. Regardless of whether we're D's or not, or R's. In the last 3.5 years, we've worked very well on this board as on a bipartisan basis, even though we're a split board with 2 D's and 1 R. So.
Absolutely. I think many of us have witnessed that, and that's really going to be the key. Who's going to get along with who? It has to just get beyond this partisan stuff. It really does, for the better of the community. Although I'm a conservative Republican and I plan on staying one, it's just important for our community to make those kind of decisions based on all.
Supervisor Schneider, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Springer, with regard to your last statement, knowing your mother as I do for the last 8 years, I would expect no less.
Thank you.
First of all, I might say that I am impressed. Any single parent with triplets, let alone a teenager, my hat is off to you. That's just us working and then running for political office at the same time. I guess my question has, and you've heard it in various iterations, you're currently employed. What do you propose to do with regard to that if you were in fact appointed, and do you have that you know of or could think of any conflicts that people might point at?
I have no conflicts. You don't get paid to run for Pinal County Supervisor, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay. So okay, thank you.
Any questions? Sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation.
Randy Stricker.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I am going to read a prepared statement that I have. I'm going to let my resume stand on its own. And I see this position of having a voice in county government for the citizens of District 2. I have served in the public sector for nearly 28 years at both the city and state level. These past positions required honesty, integrity, and credibility. I feel that the same attributes are required to serve on the Board of Supervisors. Excuse me. I see this position as an extension of my prior career dealing with statutes, codes, and regulations. I'm open-minded, willing to listen to all sides of an issue, conduct research, and render an intelligent decision. The decisions made by the Board of Supervisors affect the citizens of Pinal County not only today, but in the years to come. This position is not to be taken lightly, just because it's an interim appointment. I know I would be an asset to the existing Board of Supervisors with innovative thinking and problem-solving ability. I look forward to dealing with issues presented to the Board of Supervisors. I'm aware of some serious issues on the horizon facing our county. Litigation is never easy to deal with and a drain on taxpayers' dollars that could be better used improving Pinal County as opposed to defending it in the courtroom. Poor decision-making cannot be tolerated and would not be tolerated during my tenure on the board. I believe in fiscal accountability and individual responsibility. There must be transparency in both of these areas to ensure that tax dollars are being used wisely. Department heads need to be good stewards and fully accountable to their respective budgets. Balanced budgets are a must in this lingering economy. I know budgeting and county services are essential to the citizens of Pinal County. I would ensure that they are held to the highest standard without creating an unacceptable tax burden. People are struggling just to keep a roof over their heads and fuel in their vehicles. We, as a governing board, must explore new ways of saving money as opposed to how to spend money. In closing, I'm not interested in testing the waters. I'm jumping in head first and willing to do the best possible job I can for the citizens of Pinal County. Thank you in advance for any consideration to this appointment.
Mr. Stringer, in respect to some of the issues that you know that exist currently in Supervisorial District 2, is there one that you find that is the most pressing that you would like to address immediately?
Not at this time. I guess there's a variety of issues I'd like to address, and I am a moderate conservative Republican, and money spending is the most important issue that I see countywide. I think the taxation needs to be addressed countywide. You know, District 2 is a very large district, to say the least, and all I want to do is represent them to the best of my ability and to be a working member on the board.
Excellent. I assume this is a typo, and it didn't take you 34 years to get out of high school. Is that correct?
That is correct. My dad and I went to the same class. No, I didn't. That wasn't a typo.
Okay. Supervisor Snyder.
Sounds like W.C. Field. First of all, Mr. Stricker, thank you for your service, both to our country and to the residents of Minnesota. Those are not easy positions. You've touched on some of this by referring to a life and a career of service. What one specific reason prompted you to stand up and say, I'm the one for this temporary assignment?
I want to be the solution. I don't want to be the problem. I want to bring my knowledge and my past experiences to this board and contribute. That's my major driving factor. I think we can make things better together. And I think there's a lot of work to be done. And I know we can't change the world in 7 months, but I know that we can plant the seed for future negotiations and discussions.
Okay. Thank you. And one quick follow-up. I am going to assume that, given your resume, you were with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension until July of 2003. The voter registration form that was included in our packet is dated, that's dated 2012?
Yes. The reason for that, I have been coming to this area for the past 16 years. When I retired, we moved here full-time. I still maintain property in the state of Minnesota. I paid my taxes in the state of Minnesota. I voted in the state of Minnesota. Now, this is the first year that I have filed taxes in the state of Arizona. I have made that total transition. That is why I had to sign up to be a registered voter. And that's why it says 2012. So I've been a Republican all of my life. You know, that stands on its own.
And that was what I wanted to elicit, so thank you, and thank you for your presentation and your time.
Thank you for your consideration.
Clerk, any questions?
Thank you, sir. Okay, I think that concludes the list of candidates. We will move to agenda item number 2, which is call to the public. And I would just ask